Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Destroy It. This episode is going to be all about ranking the Pixar movies. Lightyear is a really bad movie that does not respect the Pixar canon, and has a really stupid twist where Lightyear turns out to be Zog. Izzy is just a ripoff of a character that we meet earlier on in the movie, and would have done the job much better. All the other characters are kinda just there for the movie and don't really have anything to do. Cars is a very nostalgic and interesting movie for me. This was my favorite movie growing up, and while I wouldn't exactly put it in Love It, this is still a very good movie for me, and there still are a lot of scenes I really like the scene of McQueen and Sally driving down Route 66 up to Wheelwell. Next up, WALL-E is my favorite movie of all times, and has one of the most believable and real romances. And Wally and Eve are just the cutest things, and you can tell everything you need to know about them just by how they say they are one line. Cars 2 is another really stupid movie that just completely goes against what made the original Cars a pretty good movie, with Lightning McQueen being completely sidelined and Mater taking center stage, which just does not make any sense, including the villain and the villain's plan, which also doesn't make any sense, and just makes the whole movie come off as very childish. Brave is a movie I feel like has a lot of potential, but they just didn't take it. I think if they just focused more on the mother-daughter relationship and just toned down the queen's resistance and stubbornness, I think this movie could have been something special. But unfortunately it didn't, so it's stuck there in nostalgic. Ratatouille is another great movie, and it really is a great movie, and part of that's because of the characters and how they interact with the human world. Good Dinosaur is just one of the most depressing movies that did not need to be that depressing. The only reason I feel they made it that depressing was to appeal to the older kids. The one good thing this movie does have going for it is some incredible animation. Luca is a movie that has some amazing animation, but I just feel like animation today is just too human and realistic, where there's no fantasy to them. There's no incredible world that makes me wonder, or that makes me say, hey, I want to go to this world. Cars 3 is at least better than Cars 2. However, I feel like the new characters in this movie don't really have much to do, and I especially feel like Cruz Ramirez's backstory should have been expanded on, and the whole ending with Cruz taking Lightning's place in the race should have been built up to more. Finding Dory is a movie that didn't need to exist. The plot is just a copy of Finding Nemo, and all the new things we learn about Dory, I feel we could have just figured that out ourselves, and it's just giving us a bunch of easy answers. Coco is one of the closest thing that Pixar is going to get to doing a musical. I absolutely love musicals, and as so, the music in this movie is incredible. The story is also very good, paying homage to Mexican families. Turning Red is a good film with a great story. I just can't really relate to this movie, and as so, I don't really feel I have a lot to talk about with this movie. But I feel like women of their age in the movie would have a lot to talk about with this movie and would absolutely enjoy it. Monsters University is the prequel to Monsters Inc., and unlike some of the other sequels, where they just put in the side character for no reason, this story actually benefits from Mike being the main character, and I incredibly relate to his journey of having to discover that he's not scary. Just like when I was in high school, when I had to accept that I was not a good director and I was never gonna walk. Monsters Inc. is a movie that, just like MU, I relate to very much, and I really enjoy the themes of fear and friendship. The one thing that I feel ruins, I just feel like the theme is kind of ruined in the ending, where Mike basically doesn't have as big of a turnaround as I would like. Inside Out is a movie with some incredible animation, and I love how each one of the characters in Riley's brain has a glow effect around them. Has a glow effect, and yeah. And I also really enjoy the themes of sadness here, and unlike Monsters, Inc., I don't feel like the themes will ruin in the ending. Toy Story is a movie that I know everybody loves, and I really enjoy it too. I just can't really get over Woody's character in this movie. And I just wish his meanness was sort of dialed back a little bit. Especially the other toys character after Woody accidentally killed Buzz. A Bug's Life is a movie with an incredible final climax and a very threatening villain. The only problem is that the villain doesn't really fit the tone of this movie, and the final act especially doesn't really fit in with the tone, making it feel like two separate movies. Soul is another incredible movie. It's just like Luca, I feel like the animation is just too normal in the human world. The Great Beyond and the Great Before are absolutely stunning places, and what puts it above Luca for me is that I at least feel like its theming and story are much better than Luca. Just like Cars, Incredibles is a very nostalgic movie for me, and it was the movie that really made me a Pixar fan after I grew out of it when I was a little kid. However, this movie still isn't very good, and the villain's plan is just plain dumb. And just like some other Pixar sequels, there's really no reason to make Mrs. Incredible the main lead of this movie, and they could have told the exact same story with Mr. Incredible being the main character. Toy Story 2 is the movie that I think really defined the Toy Story movie, and was when the Toy Story franchise really found its footing for me. Woody's character is almost a little too relatable for me, where it makes me a little uncomfortable, and I just wish the B plot with Buzz had a little more to it, and I wish that the characters in that subplot had a little more of an arc to go on, and a little more to do. Now, Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is one of my favorite Pixar movies and has some breathtaking animation. The only reason it's not higher is that I wish there was just a little more to the plot instead of just having to go to Sydney to rescue Nemo. However, I do think Dory and Marlin play off of each other very well, and Marlin's character arc is one of the best in Pixar history. Onward came out at a really weird time, since it came out at the beginning of the pandemic, and nobody really saw it. However, I think this movie started somewhat of a Pixar renaissance, because this movie is so good, and if it doesn't make you cry, then I don't know what to tell you. But this movie is so sad, it is so heartwarming, including the scene where Farley basically tells his brother that he never got a chance to say goodbye to his dad. And next up, The Incredibles is another incredible movie. I just wish that Frozen and the rest of the fun side characters they introduced in the first act, like Frozen, Gazelbeam, had a little more to do, had something to do after the family gets to the island. However, everything still comes together very well, and I'm glad that Frozen came back in the final act. Up has one of the saddest openings of all time, and I absolutely enjoy the stuff in this movie about Carl and his relationship with Ellie. The one thing where I feel the movie kind of loses me is with the stuff with the talking dog, or the big bird that won't leave them alone, or the whole thing about balloons carrying the house to Paradise Falls, that I feel kind of messes with the tone a little bit, and makes me not take the Carl and Ellie stuff as seriously as I would like it to. Toy Story 3 is an even better sequel than Toy Story 2. And Lotso is another very relatable and bad villain that I just love to hate. The rest of the characters are also pretty good, and I can really empathize with Jessie, who doesn't want to go back to Andy's. Last up is Toy Story 4, and just like Toy Story 3, I would say this is the perfect ending for Woody's character and the Toy Story franchise. It's an incredibly good movie, and just like WALL-E, I kind of like the romance angle between Woody and Bo Peep actually gain a focus this time. And I seriously don't know why they're doing Toy Story 5. But anyway, that is my ranking for the Pixar movies. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.